Hello and welcome. The problem: why do we pay athletes and actors more than we pay teachers and doctors? Aren't teachers and doctors more important? That's so unfair. But as always, the reality is more complicated. Who pays salaries? Let me tell you the first thing wrong with that opening statement. Why do we pay athletes and actors more than we pay teachers and doctors? Aren't teachers and doctors more important? That's so unfair. Well, here are the facts. We do not pay athletes and actors. Private entrepreneurs pay athletes and actors. It's their money and their business what they do with their money. It would be like someone coming into your home and complaining about what you pay your housekeeper or your gardener. Whose business is that but yours? However, because the government has consumed the education system, we do pay teacher salaries, so that's a discussion that we have a place in. So the question isn't why do private companies choose to use their money to pay their employees millions of dollars, because that's their business. The question is, why do we, the public, pay our employees what we pay them? How are salaries set? Let's talk about the second problem with the opening statement. Why do we pay athletes and actors more than we pay teachers and doctors? Aren't teachers and doctors more important? That's so unfair. Are teachers and doctors more important than athletes and actors? Sure. But here are the facts. Salaries are not determined by importance. They are first decided by an individual's value to the market, aka you. In this situation, the public has demonstrated that it values entertainment more than education. You may not think that you do, and sure, some people really do value education more than entertainment, but most don't. If you're unsure about this, take a week to really observe what you do with your free time, and there you'll find your priorities. Supply and demand. We've all had economics, we all know this basic principle, and the fact is there are relatively few people on the planet that could perform at the NBA, NFL, NHL, NBL level. The demand is high, the supply is low, the value of these people to their employer is extremely high, therefore the salary is robust. There are, however, many people who can or at least could become teachers. Every year, thousands graduate with the qualifications to teach in a standard school setting. Only dozens of people in the world graduate with the qualifications to play pro ball. If education were still private, skill and experience would be more critical in the hiring of teachers, but since the public school system is heavily unionized and under the government wing, a professional idiot could just go to college and get a BA and then get a credential, and they'd run the risk of being hired by some school district somewhere. On a pro sports team, a bad athlete gets fired. You can't really fire a bad teacher that easily beyond a certain point, and that keeps even more teachers in the pool, thereby raising the supply of teachers. And plus, even a bad teacher can fulfill the true function that many parents are looking for in a school, which is someone to keep their children occupied for 7 hours a day. Right now, ask a liberal studies major how easy it is to find a teaching job. The demand is moderate and the supply is high, therefore the compensation is modest. It's basic econ, right? As a side note, this is not to say that teaching doesn't require skill or that teachers are not smart or valuable. The point here is that the hiring system doesn't necessarily discriminate between good, skilled teachers, average teachers, and bad teachers. The whole teaching profession suffers for this. They say a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. Well, the weakest NBA player is still much better than 99% of the world, whereas the weakest teacher in a school district can be truly awful. Scarcity. Kind of like we touched on with supply and demand, scarcity is a significant factor. There are, for example, between 300 and 400 players in the NBA total. In our nation of 300 million people, only 300 or 400 can play at that level. Meanwhile, there are single cities with more teachers than that in my home state of California. It's not really a scarce position. I guarantee you, the day there are 50,000 professional quality basketball players is the day that basketball players will make a teacher's salary. Value to the market. Finally, we mentioned that the American public values entertainment more than it values education. If the owner of a gym can get 24 pro athletes to walk into his gym, that owner has just made millions of dollars. If the owner of a gym is able to get 24 teachers to walk into his gymnasium, that person has just broken even. Except no, he lost $300 in lighting and air conditioning costs. And again, that's not to say that teachers aren't important, it's just that Americans have decided that we value entertainment more than education. Try this fascinating experiment. Create 2 YouTube videos. Title one of them, The Trashy Wives of Miami Get Raunchy, and title the other one, Dr. Herman Explains Pythagorean's Theorem. And then post a comment below letting me know which video gets more views. When Americans choose to value education, the best and most extraordinary teachers will experience a salary bonanza. Here are some additional reasons teachers make less than celebrities. 1. Sports and entertainment bring in cash, so sports and entertainment bosses have to pay those players and actors who bring in the cash well or lose them. If a school loses a teacher, oh well, there are thousands more where that came from. If a basketball team loses a player, they have to find another world-class replacement from a very small pool. If a school loses a teacher, it only needs to find someone with a degree and a credential from a very large pool. Which sounds cheaper to hire? 2. Government intervention in education affects free market response as well. The government's grip on education standardizes teacher salaries, where in a free economy, many of those teachers would make more or less based on economic principles. In a situation where parents were engaged and salaries weren't fixed, truly good teachers would have the ability to rise as demand grew for their talents and skills. Today, many parents don't know or care who their child's teacher is, and even if they did, they don't have the freedom to act on any such preferences or desires. 3. The comparison between teachers and doctors and athletes and actors is invalid on its face because we're comparing the salary of average teachers to the salary of top-tier, world-class athletes and actors. We should be comparing average teachers and doctors to average athletes. I bet you the average teacher or doctor makes much more than the average athlete or actor. But there's nothing average about being in the NFL or a summer blockbuster film. Lastly, when people bring up teacher salaries, they frequently forget that after summer break, winter break, spring break, a specified number of personal days and sick days, plus getting every holiday known to man, teachers are only in session for a little more than 8 months a year. So you can't compare the salary of an 8 or 9 month job to a typical 11 or 12 month job. Furthermore, some teachers actually do make quite a bit of money, i.e. curriculum creators, documentary filmmakers, public speakers, and best-selling authors, etc. They are all teachers and make a very good living due to the reach of their teachings. If you can manage to make yourself scarce and of great value, you too will be paid very well. It all comes down to this. Salaries in a free market society are not determined by importance, but by scarcity and value. That's how rare a person is and how much society wants what they have to offer.